Tonight on KGW News, riverbank restrictions.
Our hope is to ensure that we can reduce impacts on the waterway.
The waterfront spot in Portland now looking to make a camping ban permanent. And later,
it makes you not feel that great about living here.
Neighbors put their homes on the market, blaming a nearby homeless encampment for leaving. Why the city's plan to solve the issue may only be temporary.
But first, to catch a car thief.
It's just crazy. Wow. It's very sad. It's very sad.
The surprising find inside the suspect's getaway vehicle that's adding to a long list of charges. Your news starts now.
And we begin with the police chase that took a turn for the bizarre when the suspect, officers say, crashed a stolen truck into a house in southeast Portland. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. The driver then allegedly broke into another home nearby and then hid until officers found him. And as Mike Benner reports, police say they also recovered a counterfeit law enforcement badge and much more.
This is about the worst that's ever happened. Yeah, definitely.
The exterior damage to Charles Daniels' southeast Portland home only begins to tell the story of what happened here late Sunday morning.
I heard this crash and then heard this just roar of a revving. And I was like, what could this guy be doing? I heard this other crash and then another crash, and I felt a little bit of a jolt. Tried to ignore that.
But there was no ignoring what was playing out right outside Daniels' home near Southeast 45th and Taylor. Authorities say a man in a stolen truck hit Daniels' house while trying to get away from officers. The man then rammed a police cruiser before bailing out of the truck and taking off on foot.
We were all in lockdown for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours while they searched for the guy.
Officers eventually found the man hiding in the basement of a home near Southeast 46th and Salmon.
Just a sad, broken, desperate person trying to get away, I guess, you know.
The suspect, later identified as Joshua Farrell, was in court Monday afternoon. The 36-year-old is facing nearly 3 dozen charges, including impersonating a police officer. That's because of what officers found inside the stolen truck. They discovered a counterfeit DEA badge, handcuffs, an airsoft gun, as well as drugs and cash.
It's just crazy. Wow. It's very sad. It's very sad. I just feel, I don't know, I kind of feel more sorry for the guy than anything else at this point.
Charles Daniels is also feeling grateful that the neighbor kids weren't playing outside when Farrell came barreling down the street. They could have been hurt, but weren't. At the end of the day, just some superficial damage to Daniels' home.
He could have gone through the space, he didn't hit the window. He didn't hit our air system. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, we're pretty fortunate, I think.
That was Mike Benner reporting. The suspect, Joshua Farrell, is no stranger to law enforcement. He has a criminal history dating back to 2008, burglary and theft among the charges. But in 2019, he got in trouble for escaping a correctional facility in Washington County. And developing tonight, a motorcycle rider's in the hospital tonight following a crash in southeast Portland. This happened about 8:30 tonight on southeast 82nd Avenue and Flavelle Street. When police got there, they found the motorcyclist hurt with significant injuries. The driver involved remained at the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. The area remains closed as the investigation continues, so use alternate routes if possible.
Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. 3 people are dead following a crash on Highway 101 on the coast. It happened earlier today between Lincoln City and Depot Bay. No word on the cause or the ages of the people who were killed. Oregon State Police say they are investigating.
And 1 person has died following a crash on I-5 in the Woodburn area. This is about 3 miles north of the outlets. As you can see from our ODOT cameras, it caused a major backup earlier today. Lanes have since reopened. No word yet on the cause of the crash.
And Portland is one step closer to changing how it governs itself. A Multnomah County judge ruled today a set of proposed reforms to Portland's city charter can move forward to the November ballot. If voters approve the measure, the city council would expand to 12 councilors, 3 each from 4 new geographic districts. The mayor would also move to an executive role, and a city manager, essentially a CEO of sorts, would be hired to oversee day-to-day operations and the various bureaus.
New tonight, state land officials are trying to make part of Hayden Island safer and better for the environment. They're tackling drug activity and garbage along one of the riverbanks. As Catherine Cook reports, they're hoping to make it a permanent effort.
On the north bank of Hayden Island, just west of the I-5 bridge, is this 500-yard stretch of Columbia Riverbank. It's somewhat of an anomaly in that the only legal way the public can access it is from the water, say by kayak. But lately, state land officials say there's been a lot more illegal activity here than water sports.
We want the public to be able to pull up from the waterway and use and enjoy the banks over there.
Leanne O'Neill is communications officer with the Department of State Lands. It oversees use of state-owned waterways, including the Columbia.
Our hope is to ensure that we can reduce impacts on the waterway.
For that reason, they're exploring a permanent rule that would ban fires and camping along this stretch between River Mile 106 and 107. The move comes after multiple complaints from law enforcement, emergency responders, and the Portland Harbor Master about illegal activity impacting the health and safety of the waterways.
In May, the state approved a 6-month emergency restriction banning overnight use, camping, and campfires. It's a short-term solution to all of the litter, including drug paraphernalia and dozens of abandoned shopping carts. There have also been an increase in complaints over threats of violence and uncontrolled fires. And of course, there's the environmental impact.
Some of the environmental impacts that we consider are erosion. When you're having things that are going into the waterway that introduces more sediment. We're also thinking about contaminants entering the waterway.
Hayden Island is struggling in other areas too. Last week, about a quarter mile from here, this Cracker Barrel restaurant abruptly closed its doors for good. Employees told KGW the restaurant's management called an emergency meeting to announce the closure, telling staff it was due to security issues. Regulars were not surprised, pointing to more drug-related garbage and litter in the area.
Gross. That's the best way to describe it. There's a lot of theft, people on drugs.
Back at this riverbank, land officials say the temporary fix has made things better.
It has helped to reduce those impacts on the waterway. And for this reason, we're looking at enacting permanent rulemaking.
And tonight, the Department of State Lands held a public meeting on the camping ban proposal on Zoom, but no one showed up to comment. If you want to offer feedback, they'll be taking public comment through the end of August. The soonest it would take effect is October. David and Laurel.
Catherine Cook reporting tonight. Thanks, Catherine. Let's talk about our homeless crisis now, and a trend we are watching across much of Multnomah County. Families in North Portland say they are selling their homes due to the presence of homeless camps, and in particular here, violence. For sale signs line the streets at neighborhoods that were once sought after. Neighbors say homeless along the Peninsula Crossing Trail are making folks feel unsafe. They tell us at least 3 families just along one stretch of McKenna Avenue are selling.
It's the first time in a long time that we've actually seriously thought about moving.
It's sad. I'm sorry to hear it. I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to leave. It's a very difficult scenario.
They shouldn't be scared of us for what? Because we live outside. Like, that's the reason why you should be scared of us, because we live outside. So if we lived in 4 wall in the house and stuff, would you still be scared of us?
The city is planning to build a safe rest village along the Peninsula Crossing Trail, but there is no timeline, and the village would only be temporary for 3 years or so, with plans for a permanent affordable housing development to eventually take its place.
For the 3rd time in 5 years, a fire damaged Rios ribs in northeast Portland. Portland Fire and Rescue is still investigating the cause of Saturday's fire. A fire first gutted the restaurant back in 2017. They were able to reopen, but then in 2020, it caught fire again. That time, the act was caught on camera and showed a transient woman starting it. Rios lost its insurance coverage after the last 2 fires. The company does have a new insurance provider, but is waiting to hear back.
You're having a hard time staying open as it is, let alone, a fire every 6 months or a year or whatever. We don't know if they will still cover or not. So right now, it's not so much insurance we're depending on ourselves.